Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, January 4th of 2023. Welcome, everybody, to Rudy Psychic Meetup. It's so great to see everybody in the house tonight. Thanks so much for waiting. I was late. No excuses. I completely forgot. You ever look at your watch and you're like, oh no, I was supposed to be there 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. I was texting Sam. She didn't respond. I'm like, uh-oh, we might be a few minutes late tonight, but you made it.
Yes. Again, I apologize, though. I don't, when I set a schedule, I'm mindful there's people in other parts of the world that are maybe staying up late and pushing it because they like to attend live. So, again, my apologies. I do take my time schedule seriously. I'm not like one of those people. I remember Guns N' Roses. I talked about the concert that I was at where the lead singer, Axl Rose, he showed up. I think it was like 2 hours late
Oh my
before his
God.
set. I had to leave before it was done because the babysitter was like, I have an exam tomorrow. Like, I absolutely have to be home by midnight. I was like, oh, no problem. The concert starts at, 9 o'clock, right?
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, I would never be like that with people in the schedule, just no explanation, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, and he probably had like a hangover too. I had just had a squirrel moment today. That's all.
Well, and you're in the new place, so that's great. You're getting settled
Yeah.
in Mexico in your new place, so that's awesome.
Happy to be here and happy to be here for Rudy Psychic Meetup. So, what do we have on the roster for tonight?
All right, Sam. Well, tonight I was hoping. I think we're going to try to get Barton on next meetup. He had another appointment, but I wanted to continue and kind of round out the path we've been going down the last couple meetups, where we've talked a little bit about human psychology, kind of the way we operate as humans. We've talked about Sigmund Freud, some of these theories, but tonight I wanted to discuss archetypes. And I don't know why, but I've been thinking a lot about archetypes lately, and why they're so important, and why it's the way we tell stories, the way we hear stories, and why they're so important, and kind of then even how they relate to the Great Awakening. So I'm going to talk for a little bit, Sam, and if you got anything you need to jump in on, do so. But let's start off with what an archetype is. So if we just look at the definition, an archetype, it's an original pattern or model from which all things of the same kind are copied, or on which they're based. It's a model, a first form, a prototype. According to Carl Jung, he laid out these 12 archetypes that we see through everything. It's a collective, inherent, unconscious idea, pattern, thought, image, etc., universally present in individual psyches. And so you think about these patterns we see. Jung was a associate of Sigmund Freud, and he was the first one to bring up the theory of archetypes to life. He studied legends, myths, dreams, and really came to the conclusion that we're all kind of born with this intrinsic ability to recognize and comprehend what these archetypes are. And he believed that really we're all kind of programmed to search for these archetypes in our day-to-day lives because they serve as a blueprint, really for how we understand the world, how we interact with the world, and kind of how we're designed to operate in the world. We'll talk about some of the common ones that you hear. You kind of have the everyman. We've mentioned the jester, the caregiver, the ruler. You see archetypes in tarot cards. I think there's like the 12, or I forget if it's 12 or 14 major arcana. I know some folks are really familiar with tarot. But Sam, I guess my first question when we think about archetypes is, um, are these ways that we tend to process and make sense of the world around us, just as you think of pareidolia, where we kind of look and see like human forms and shapes that might not be there. Is there something within our operating system that makes us recognize these archetypes? Or is this just the way we tend to make sense of the world? Because I'm really trying to get at is, did the creator kind of program us to be able to recognize these types of things?
I think the pictures I was getting while you were talking about it, really great subject, by the way, Rudy, because I like it when you touch on things that I really don't have any idea about.
Okay.
Because then the people on the other side, they don't have my own mind, interfering with my own ideas and stuff. Because that can happen when you're a medium, right? Because your thoughts run so close together. But I was getting very clearly in regards to this archetype that it goes back to instincts. So a lot of stuff that we would do as a newborn baby, for example, that are instinctual, that are bred in our DNA that we need in order to survive. So one of the things about an archetype is they kind of envelop the entire consciousness at the time of what humanity is striving towards and ideally would like to be.
Yeah.
So you can see a lot of these archetypes, coming out. And isn't it interesting that, as a part of the Great Awakening, I think that that's really what it comes down to. The Great Awakening, these are pivotal people who've made a huge difference in the world and have moved it in the proper direction for survival, right? Because when you think about it, Elon Musk, right, all the Great Awakening people, they're all connected to either the survival of either the entire planet, right, or of a people, like Zelensky, right?
Yeah.
He set the example. He's the architect. He's like the brave leader soldier who stays at the front line. He's not back in, another country on the phone telling people what to do. He's
Right.
like right in there in the city they were bombing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things about these archetypes. I'm going to share kind of a chart that someone I found on the internet. And it's one of these things, in order to be a whole person, think about this as the yin and the yang. For every archetype, there's an opposite side of that we kind of see things through. And this juxtaposition, especially in stories, is really what I think draws people in. Is, you have the creator, a destroyer, for, an innocent, guilty, hero, villain. So it goes back and forth like this. And that's really where, you kind of see, like, maybe that's why these themes are they resonate so much, because, as you said, as we're young, this is what inspires us to do things, to do the hard thing, is to enact these archetypes in our lives. We hear about them in stories. These stories were created based on observations of human behavior and the human journey. And so it does make sense that it's our blueprint is to how to act and how to be successful in the world. I was really wondering if, like, the creator source kind of imprinted this in us because it's a great way to learn and develop. If you're not dealing with the dark side as well as the light side, how do you really learn and grow if you don't have challenges to overcome?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I find a lot of times that we try to apply our human experience and understanding to source, to the other side. I think that many people sort of reach the point of understanding if they have been a medium all their life, but they didn't understand that they were getting messages. But sometimes there would be just such obvious clues, and also the all of the supernatural stuff that they would draw to them kind of gives a clue as well. I've said it before that I think that people are looking for, they imagine in their mind what it's like. And it's not anything like that at all. And then once you figure that out and you just go with it, you're like, their impressions, their ideas. It's, very seldom do I have someone get the Crayola marker, the sparkling yellow, and write out names and stuff like that in the air. Can it happen? Oh, absolutely it has.
Yeah.
Right? Can something write out right in front of me? Oh, yeah, it does. But the amount of energy, they would have to put into do. And it's against the rules too, because you're not supposed to manipulate anything in the 3D from the other side. Like I said, it's against the rules. But anyways, sometimes the rules get bent. You have those dark entities down here and stuff, and they bend the rules all the time, scratching people and shouting at them, and just breaking the rules, right? So tick for tat, I guess.
And because I've always wondered, kind of like, what is it about the Bible in Western culture that so many people are drawn to the Bible? And I think you can see this with whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, in Easter, and some of the Buddhist text. I think that it's the same thing. All of the stories in these great books, whether it's Homer's The Odyssey, they all have these elements of the great archetypes that we identify with. And that's probably why they capture so many people, capture people's attentions, because you're able to really read through. I really enjoyed kind of listening to Jordan Peterson talk about the Abrahamic stories in the Bible, and how you look at these roles and things that are playing out. And you might hear these stories as a child and just kind of like you remember them. But I think they're also, would you say that a lot of these stories imprint on you, these behaviors and these themes unconsciously?
Well, the reason why people take their children to church, even though their children absolutely can't stand it, is that they do pick up stuff, here and there, as well as the morals and the values. And then they see other adults, sort of following a code,
Yeah.
not just within the family, but with each other. And I think
Hmm.
that's important. Like I said before, I don't have any problem at all with anybody who follows a religion. I, feel like that, most humans, we should have some type of club that we're part of. I mean, just like we're part of the hobby channel, so the people who are here live tonight asking questions, chatting in the room. I mean, we're all part of a hobby channel, and we think and grow together and learn stuff. And yeah, I think that it's important for people to have that, and that so they're not just naturally drawn to these sorts of things. But the other thing too is that you know these things that were written, I mean, they were written by some of them by very special people, and
Hmm.
they also contain like the truth. I mean, someone posted, I mean, we're not we don't have any affiliation to any religion, whatsoever, but people who hang out in our Discord room. Some people practice Islam and other people are Christians,
Hmm.
and so on. And so, I mean, you can go down through the gamut, Mormon, and just across the board, right? We have many different people from different backgrounds. And so it's not, really discussed on a wide basis unless it's like to sort of teach another person about it and why you believe this, or someone will chime in and explain why Hanukkah is the way that it is, and, that sort of thing. But I find that, like, somebody posted in Ephesians, something that I had sort of quoted to my husband earlier in the week. And here I was pulling out this Bible quote, the non-Christian lady that I am, right? But I know the Bible. I'm thankful for the couple of years that I spent going to a Pentecostal church when there was no identification for this speaking in tongues stuff. That this, as one other medium said, it sounds like nonsense to me. I was like, oh, could it be because you can't do it? Inappropriate.
That's
Oh,
right.
did I say that out loud? Anyways, you got to have a sense of humor. But anyways, I loved going to listening to the sermons, and what the minister would do is he would a lot of times pull stuff out of Exodus and all, and they would talk about the different stories.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and take like that deep dive and say what this meant or what this could have meant, and super super interesting. Like I just found it so interesting, and knowing that for the most part it is a historical document. Like these people
Hmm.
really did exist, these cultures, these cities, these towns. There's a real place that you can follow these events. They found Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat, so
Yeah.
I mean there was some type of local flood, or a different waterway that allows a huge wooden made ship to be like on the top of a mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, in I think Steve M writes, Joseph Campbell writes a lot about this. Wayne's familiar with him. I'm not as familiar. I kind of started going down this rabbit hole recently, and if I wish I had the time to pursue a lot of these things, but I want to talk a little bit more about, because as I was thinking about this topic the other night, it made me think about what we've said about the Great Awakening, where we have Trump as the politician, Sam, you're the medium, Nigel Farage, the change maker. Um, Vladimir Zelensky. I think we had him as a comedian or jester. Jordan
Yeah,
Peterson was a philosopher. Elon Musk, the inventor,
the great
and
genius.
the great genius.
The
Okay,
great genius.
and I went through, and I was thinking of all this and we went to. I'm gonna look at these archetypes here, and you could really almost apply them to one or a couple of these different archetypes. You could look at, the more I think about it, I was in the chat earlier. I don't know Zelensky as much as the jester, as I think a lot of these characters we're seeing. If you put this in the arc of the hero, and look at them, the rulers, the versus the explorers. This, Jordan Peterson, I would put him here in the sage, kind of that wise, understanding thinker. Elon Musk, you kind of have the genius, a little bit of an outlaw, but also creator. So it's interesting that I think people they really um, kind of exemplify more than one of these archetypes within their journey. But the other thing I wanted to take to look at is the hero's journey, and this is something that I don't know if you ever studied literature or writing, and I haven't. I'll admit that. But the hero's journey is kind of like this arc of a story, and I'm sharing this on the screen. And you can probably search for a graphic of the hero's journey, and it usually starts with a call to adventure, and you kind of go to, sometimes you don't heed the call, and then you realize that, well, if I don't, bad things are going to happen for me and the world around me. You find a helper, you have these challenges, and just when you're at your lowest, things trying to transform, and there's some sort of atonement or reconciliation, and you return stronger than before. And I was thinking, Sam, about all these characters, whether it's Trump or Elon Musk or some of these people. You could almost plot them out in this hero's journey. Even if I look at like Sam, where you've called, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this medium thing on the internet. We start going through this. We start going. We're in the challenges here. I don't know if we're at the abyss, if there is an abyss, but hopefully we're on this rising arc at some point. But I think you could plot all of these major characters you've identified in the Great Awakening through this hero's journey. Sam, what do you think about this? Is that kind of the common element? Is there all something heroic they're kind of on track to do within the Great Awakening?
Well, I think that you can probably apply that plan in one way or the other, because I mean, you have wiggle room to the left and the right, and then there's, that you could apply pretty much anybody to it. I was going to give my husband a holler, but the door is closed there. Say, hey, honey, they have a section for outlaws. I was noticing that. I don't know what that is, but that stuff that the people on the other side, like how they describe like Elon Musk as the great genius.
Yeah.
But they gave me the details as to why he's the great genius. Like, not only is he's providing internet for the world, and that's going to be like really like number one, life changing. And then the other one, of course, what he's doing with Twitter and releasing, like he's actually a catalyst in the whole thing. And anybody who looks back in our records here would get kind of that little spooky feeling saying, that lady says that he's on the right side of things. And if I'm against him, yeah, that's right. You're on the wrong side. Yes, you're the baddie. Come on over, though. It's not too late. Like, come on down, right? Some people are just figuring it out now. Oh, yeah, I was I had no idea. And then once a few things happened, and then I was like, okay, I don't need any more hints here. But I have a name that was given to me a very long time ago by the people on the other side. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel it was attached to the Great Awakening. It's just me and the person that I am. Mm-hmm. So after the Great Awakening is done, I can go off and do whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't know if you like this or not. It's the lesson teacher.
The lesson teacher. That's what you're going to be?
That's what I am. That's what they told
you
me
are.
when I was younger. They said to me, "You're the lesson teacher." Because I was like, well, what am I, what's going on here? What am I? Well, you're the lesson teacher. And it was like, well, we'll show you more later on. I was like, okay, then.
That would fall under that sage archetype, the wise sage. And Sam, it's interesting because I really think that there was something to you giving the names of the people in the title. There's something that resonates with people. So it's funny how the people on the other side work when they kind of give you that, I think, because really that's what I clued in on, is like, oh, they're drawing out these archetypes as this story kind of evolves.
Yeah, and to sort of show what they've done. So with I'm just trying to think, who should I use as an example? Oh, Zelensky, where they called him like the jester, like the court jester. Well, a lot of people are like, oh, the comedian, like the court jester. But what the court jester did, for those of you who are new, because we've talked about it before, and because I look back and I have these aha moments, because there's so much more we're going to know, even after figuring out a lot of these blabs ahead of time. We'll get the hit because it was clear from the translation I got it right. But then you'll pull out all these other points. Like after it comes true, you'll be like, oh, but this was, but we didn't see that or that or that. And with the Zelensky, he was saying things to people like in governments high up that nobody ever got away with saying before.
Yeah.
Like, and that was really, I would say, like out of all of the sort of war heroes across the centuries, that would be the standout, why he separated from all others as the jester, because he fulfilled that role of, getting up in front and, telling, because when he was ripping up into the EU and stuff like that, right? Like he was he was pushing for the life of his country and his people, and he wasn't man. He was pulling punches, and they were going whoa. But he was such a big hero in their eyes, right? They were like, okay, we'll just write the check.
Well, and I think and Wayne's right. Jester is the truth is the truth teller, right? They can say
Yes,
what can't be said, and you think you go from Jester through that hero's journey. He was called to action. He didn't back down. He did the hard thing, and he becomes the leader. Hopefully to fulfill that benevolent, wise ruler, and without becoming the dictator, right? That's because that's
right.
the flip side of the ruler. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting to think about things with this lens. And it really just kind of all hit home when I thought, oh, the titles we've been talking about, these major characters. And I'm going to quote someone named Samantha Jane, who on May 17th wrote, "Those in the Great Awakening have had to shift their family and entire lives around to accommodate. All these people, including myself, have had to make major changes in our lives, quit our regular jobs, and be, some of us have been working for 30 years before we got the call, right? That call to action, and become a figure that stands in front of the others and represents what the Great Awakening is all about." And you gave Zelensky as an example of that. So, yeah, it's really interesting. You talk about the call. So, it definitely it feels like if I think about this whole Great Awakening within the hero's journey, I feel like we're almost at that bottom where things are at their darkest, and we're starting to kind of take that upward arc. So at least that's fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And I think that, like I said, peace in the Ukraine, I could just taste it. I can feel
Yeah.
it. I know it's coming, and I'm hoping for it. And I'm like, oh, that'll be the huge change around, at least for the next few months until the reality hits the world again as
Yeah.
to what they've done to themselves.
Okay. Well, Sam, thanks for that interesting discussion. And with that, we have 16 questions. So let's jump right into it. Are we in our 5th year now? We were doing 2019. It's the new year. I think this is our 4th year. Yeah, really the four
Yeah, I
full
just
years.
finished. Yeah, I just finished. I'll be finishing 4 full years, and I posted my first video in February of
Okay.
2019.
All
So,
right.
but on YouTube, it was 4 years just after, I think, October 18th.
Okay.
So, and it was funny because the strike they gave me on YouTube, it was from a video that I posted just like, I think, 2 weeks after that. But they gave me the strike on December the 12th. And I was like, okay, that's close enough to 4 years. I've got the message. That's so weird. 4 years. And it was like almost like right bang on. I was like, okay, well,
Here it
I,
comes.
I know where I'm going now. I know what I got to do. Right. It's kind of like, and they're like, why are you pressing the button on that? You're just like throwing that money away. So I was like, no, well, this is the way it's got to go, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't make decisions based on like your lifestyle or the bottom dollar or, hey, I don't want to move to that country. I don't speak that language very easily. Like you can't,
Yeah.
you just don't, you can't get away from it. So yeah.
All right.
So Solar Dragon.
Solar Dragon with the first question with 14 upvotes. Hi, Sam and Rudy. Are there things that stand out for 2023? And Sam, are there things that your guides would like us to know? Thank you and much love.
Well, hang in there. We're almost through it. I kind of said that the rapids would stop, like we would be in the major part of rapids for the Great Awakening. And that started in September of 2021. And that would go until about September of 2023, thereabouts. So, yeah, so we should get some relief by the end of the year with all this like world nuttiness, craziness. But, it's just something that we have to go through. And I just want to remind people, like, once again, that remember the meltdown in the fiat currencies is the only reason that blockchain survives.
Mhm.
So, we got to go through this. It's just part of it. Just be glad you got cryptos.
It's like being stuck in traffic. Don't go try to change lanes and get around it. Just we'll get through it.
Yeah, just put on a good learn a second language tape and do something useful with your time.
Yeah. All right. Next question from William Penn. Why does burning sage ward off bad spirits?
Burning sage.
I think you said
Well, there's some elemental things about it that can affect the other dimension. And because of its smoke and because of the tiny molecules, and also the intention that you put with it. Because remember, you can't just burn sage. You have to burn sage and have the intention.
Ah,
You inhale a little bit of it, sometimes
okay.
by accident, of course, but it's smoke in the air, so you can smell it. So you're inhaling it and you're pushing it out, but then it has your intentions in it, and
And you
that
mentioned
is,
vibration before, so I'm wondering, yeah, if you're somehow that vibration is coming through. Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I think our intentions, because we are um, the light beings that we are inside, that when you have your intentions, it's like prayer, right?
Hmm.
Especially if you have a couple of people coming together for something, then that does lift the vibrations, and then that is what allows the smoke to get through with your
Okay.
intentions. And it will irritate the things in between, because they're not part of quote unquote heaven. They're
Hmm.
part of what's in between the 3D and the people on the other side. It's the in between, the lost area, and some stuff can get through there. So that's
Okay.
why I think that I feel like that's the best explanation that I can use. Like, where we're not, we try, like I said, we try to make sense of stuff that you can't really make sense of if you don't know the basic science on, how do you cross from the 3D
Yeah.
into this, you know, they made sure they corrected me so that people would know that that doesn't reach to heaven. It's like, no, it's the in between. It will affect the in
Oh.
between. Oh, you know what? They said it's the same way that they can come through and like pinch somebody.
Oh, okay. So you're in that same realm or dimension. Okay.
That's right. You can do it to them. Ha, we can do this to you.
Very good.
So you
Okay.
want to play that game, do you? Yeah. Spencer
Yeah.
already did that. And I was thinking about that, all of the things that naturally as a medium. Like, that there's rules. Nobody ever told you what the rules are, but you know what they are, right? Just kind of like how you didn't have to train yourself how to breathe. And I think that when people are born with abilities, like some stuff that so Spencer was getting kind of loud with the whatever's hanging out in the loft apartment there and showing up for Spencer. And Miles is a medium as well, has
Yeah.
medium mystic abilities, anyways, as far as I can tell. And threatened it with an exorcism. Like, I'm going to go down I'm going to get my mom to go down and get the Catholic priest. She'll get him to come down. We're going to exercise this home. You don't stop that.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, I think salt has come up too as a question, and you've mentioned the same thing there. It's for some reason salt works as
Yes.
well. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Thanks, Sam. That was a good one. Next question from Limit Break. Are there really souls destined or assigned for us to meet at certain points and break our hearts? Talking about love relationships. And we all agreed to that before we incarnated for the sake of learning and for the sake of learning a new lesson. I ended 2022 with a broken heart, starting out the year this year with felt a lot of pain and loss. But basically, Sam, yeah, are people kind of destined to meet in this lifetime? Is there a prearrangement to get together and interact a certain way?
No. No, and the only reason I know that is because that is asked of me a lot. And again, I don't know anything. I don't have an opinion on this. I didn't go to any classes. I haven't read any books in regards to any of this kind of stuff. So a lot of people would say, "Oh, well, how can you say anything? You don't know anything about it." I'm like, "Yeah, but I access source,
Hmm.
the same thing that told me where the hurricane was going to cross. Yeah, that source."
Yeah.
Right? So I prove it with like physical manifestations of it, so that I can go, hey, like, maybe I can't prove this because it's, I'm just telling you what I know, right? And this is my translation of it. But, chew on it a little bit. Does it make sense to you? Because, I didn't make it up, and I don't have a dog in the fight on this one. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
writing a book or anything like that. But I don't, I, whenever people ask me, like, if they say, oh, my twin flame. And, I find that a lot of people who are into the woo woo, who want to make a living from it, but don't really have anything to offer, they kind of like, they read these books and stuff like that, and then they make stuff up. And they start telling people like all these crazy things, and oh, and your twin flame, and oh no, you got to get that guy back. He was your twin flame, and you'll never be happy. It's just, I don't know what's wrong with these people, but all that stuff is just like made up. And so don't let anyone tell you that, oh, well, you chose this.
Yeah.
right? Oh, well, that's why that happened to you because you chose this. Listen, you chose it if that was your choice. If you went with that bad guy and everyone told you he was a bad guy and you went with him anyways, and then you banged out 3 kids to recruit for your torture. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, but that was your choice. It wasn't like, oh, he was your twin flame and you had to do this. Other people do that stuff too, just to justify it as well. But again, it steals from them the opportunity to learn a lesson. Because
Mm-hmm.
boy, I'll tell you, there's a lot of power into realizing that you have control over some of these bad choices that you made. And if you're not learning a lesson, if you're thinking, oh well, I'm destined to be with guys who like punch me in the face by the 3rd date, and then I justify it as they like blame it on me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
All right, Sam. Next question comes from Cat Lady AZ. Hi, Sam and Rudy. Is China manipulating the weather, or is the shifting magnetic poles affecting shifts in the jet stream?
Oh, it's nothing to do with the magnetic poles. It's weather. It's a jet stream. It's just weather, just normal stuff.
Jet stream's going to jet stream. It does what it wants, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it ebbs and it flows, and I know they like to say stuff like that, but my understanding from the people on the other side is they can only manipulate weather in a very, very limited area, and it's just extremely expensive as well. So most countries, don't have that kind of budget or wherewithal to just throw that money, good money after bad, right?
Yeah, I think cloud seeding is probably the most common thing we hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from William Penn: Are there prophecies in the Bible that pertain to events in our current lifetime?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of them. Like the description of the war. I mean, the helicopter's really only been used, I think the Vietnam War was the first war that the helicopter really was able to be used in a much more strategical or tactical way. And I mean, when they talk about in the book of Revelations, they talk about, these things that look like locusts with the hair of women, right? So the blades would probably be, they're probably thinking, well, that's like, it looks like it's hair because it's, you can see that it's there, but it's like it's blowing in the wind or something, but with the faces of men in them.
Okay.
So if you think about a grasshopper at the shape of its head, right? And then, so they say a locust, and it has the long body and then the tail, So if you even look at stuff like that, you're like, oh my gosh, this person could see the future, and they were seeing men in helicopters. So yeah, absolutely, William Penn. Like I said, there's a lot of prophecies in the Bible that are going to come true. And there's prophecies from other people that are going to come true. But I will tell you, though, that I have read through quite a few of some of the links that people send me for mediums in the past and stuff. And the majority of the stuff that they predicted for the future none of it's going to come true.
Okay. All right. Very good, Sam. Thank you. Next question from Tinkerbell. When someone passes away but gets revived back, do they become more intuitive and or psychic, perhaps even become mediums? If so, why is that?
Well, yeah, and absolutely that happens. A lot of times people are taken out early because they already had gifts ahead of time and they were just refusing to use them. That would have been me, because that's what it came to with me. I was like, yeah, I don't think I want them to kill me and bring me back. That would be scary, and who knows, I might lose one of my legs or something.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't want that to happen. So I'll do it. All right, I'll do it. Don't kill me. Don't make me drop dead and then take me up to heaven and go, you're not using your gift. Look, we trained you all these years. Why do you think you were a branch manager at 22 and being the boss and learning all this stuff? And, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense now.
That's what happens when the hero doesn't heed the call. They get killed.
Yeah.
They get whacked by the people on the other side. And
Right. They get pulled up and they're go, what are you doing? We discussed this before you left.
That's right.
Right. There was a plan. Talk about plans. I mean, everyone's like, oh, well, every single person who comes here sat down and figured out, no, man, it's a crapshoot. When you get in line, you're taking a chance. That's part of the bravery of coming back to be recycled when you do it. You're like, oh, okay, all right, not in Sudan, not in Sudan, not in Sudan. Right? That's your fingers are crossed, right? You're like, not in the Ukraine, no new, I don't want to be the newborn baby in the hospital that gets bombed there, like don't send me there,
Yeah.
China's not looking good either. Can I just send you the list ahead of time? Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. None of my business. All right, yeah. You either press the button or you don't. You don't know what you don't know, what you're not going to know what your IQ is. You're not going to know what culture you're going into. You're not going to know if you're male or female in a wealthy or lower, you don't know that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Surprise.
right. Our next question comes from Olia. Hello, Sam. Hello, Rudy. We refer a lot to the Great Awakening. It seems that this may mean different things to different people. What's your vision of the Great Awakening? What are the main results, and what's the time frame for this awakening process to bring tangible changes?
Well, I think first of all, with the documentation, like what we've been doing the last 4 years, it will bring forward the truth, like really of who we are.
Yeah.
Because really there hasn't been any proof. There's only been discussion about it. But when you can actually test and examine things scientifically and go back through records, and then things happen, and you can sort of compilate it and say, there are people who are born with this. Let's look at the genealogy. Let's see if we can figure this all out. So instead of it being sort of looked upon as a hocus pocus, witchcraft thing, of which it is none of that, they start to look at it as scientific reality, that there are people who are born, who are, who can do what many of us can do. And what I try to do on, Ask a Medium every 2 weeks, and also on the Discord channel, and all the other live streams where I'm answering questions pertaining to the future. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's going to be a big part of the Great Awakening. The other part is to get us off this treadmill of financial collapse. So, you have the four turnings, and the last one always ends financial collapse. And it's just the outlandish corruption that exists in society. So blockchain will fix that. So that's why blockchain is such a big part of the Great Awakening, because it puts an end to that sort of cycle that we've been in, humanity, for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is about a higher sort of level of values, especially once people recognize that this isn't their last stop here, and that this is just you're just passing through here onto something else. And how you do here is, it's really judged harshly. I mean, you only got like 70 years at the, 70 to, I don't know, people have lived to be maybe as old as 120, but most people, you got about 70 to 90 years, somewhere in that range, to do what it is that you're supposed to be doing, and then die with the right attitude, because it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Mm-hmm. That's what they keep telling me. It's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Yeah, I always wondered why religion was such an important, part of people's history, this belief system. And really, the more you look at like what Jordan Peterson talks about, the stories of the Bible, it really imprints those social norms on you, the template of how to be successful as a family, doing, working for something greater than yourself, staying together as a family. All those types of things are really kind of embedded within, I think most religions. So our next question then comes from, let's see, Kiwi Mark. Hello, Sam and Rudy. It seems that many more couples are breaking up than previous generations. Do you think this is true, and that it could be because our consciousness is evolving more and asking us to grow, but some individuals are not? Thanks.
I think that, we'll go back to William Penn's question about, biblical, is there stuff in Bible, coming true like now or during our times? And it talked about the end times, how people were lovers of self, yeah. Right? Like they described a lot about people were very self-absorbed, lovers of self, lovers of money,
yeah.
That they would covet their neighbor's wife, extremely damaging to your extended community. I think that's why they use your neighbor's wife, right? Not your brother's wife or, within your family, but then your neighbor's wife, right? So to do something so dastardly, with another person in the community. And you see that sometimes too, moms and dads who are all hanging out together, and then some people, and just people just are lovers of self. They just think, oh, I'm just going to have a little bit of fun here. Oh, why don't you just like throw some napalm in the middle of your family while you're at it,
Yeah.
It's like just people are selfish, and that is just an end times thing. So it's becoming more and more difficult to find people who, and I talked to my husband about this, how difficult it must be for, if you have like a younger person who is a go-getter and is not, fainting some type of, victimhood, right? Because that's the other thing too. This victimhood is just running rampant through society. In order to be a victim, you have to find a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Exactly.
been very damaging,
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, it's just very tough on the community and on society. So, I mean, I think that when you get together with somebody, that you need to make sure that you ask the right questions. And then if you don't, and then you go out and you have children with them, then it doesn't matter what you want anymore. Your bed's made. Don't
Yeah.
wreck your family's life.
And that's part of where I think people were so big on religion. Because I remember getting married in the Catholic Church. There was pre-marriage counseling to say, okay, make sure you're talking about the right things and you agree on the right things. And then I think many communities and religions will also offer post-marriage counseling. If you are having problems, your community is there for you. And so I think that just gets back to this, the religious aspect of, there's more to a religion than just here's what you worship. It's a community, and it's to build something greater than yourself, and it's to help people do the hard things sometimes, which is staying together versus going your own way. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And a lot of people who go their own way realize later on that that was a mistake,
yeah,
that they really just gave up on emotion and it was a big mistake. And when you see all these like really old couples who are, 80, 90, 100 years old, and they've been together since they were, 20 years old, and they tell their story. Oh, and he just came back from the war and I wrote him for the entire 4 years. Like I waited for him. Can you imagine?
yeah,
She's just writing him letters and she's got eyes for no one else but him. And she's like waiting for him to get off that train.
yeah,
And, but they talk about, having a hard time, but we work through it. We work through it because sometimes there's no way out, really.
yeah,
I mean, most people can't afford to support, two households and that kind of thing. So a lot of the older couples will tell you that, they just work through it.
yeah,
Everybody got through a tough time. But see, nowadays, in fact, I won't say out loud who it is, but I had somebody call me one time and ask me if they could move in. And I said no. I said, you need to work things out with your spouse. And they kind of made this lame excuse why they were going to break up with them. And I said, look, all that's happened is that you guys are a young couple. The money part got out of control. You got too much into credit. And now you're suffering and you want to, take it out on the other person. I said,
yeah,
but you can't do that. You got it. So the fact that I would not allow that person to move in, they got pregnant like a few months later and, stayed together and, have a wonderful life now,
yeah.
but I look back and I feel responsible for, when I was like, no, you can't move in with me. See, I was the lady with the big house, right? So people would like circle sometime. Oh, I need a place to move in, right? I'm like, I'm moving in with me, right? And then I kind of got weak at some points, and I was like, well, I do need someone to look after my cats when I travel. But
Well, yeah,
anyway, yeah.
but that, yeah, the social pressure, the community there that's there to say no, make you got to do what's hard sometimes, and but also there to support people when they're going through tough times, but not give them the easy out, right?
Right. That's the thing. Because humans, I mean, look at your children, look at your young adult children or your teenagers. They will take the path of least resistance if they can, if you will allow them, you know. Oh my gosh, I thought that, hearing the story about asking a teenager for rent, like once they turn 18 and then they have to start paying rent if they're not going to university,
Yeah,
right? Because they're working, right? They're making money. Oh, they so don't want to pay rent. And they even come back at their parents and go, oh, well, so-and-so's parents gave him the lump sum of rent when he moved out. So if he paid like, $800 a month for, 2 years, they had like this big check for over like almost 17 grand
yeah,
for
yeah,
him, or more than that, actually. Because if it's $800 a month, oh yeah, that's a lot more, because that's more like almost, it's less than 10,000. But yeah, can you imagine your parents giving you like 19,000?
If it was going towards the house that you would, that's one thing. If you just say, here you go, here's your winnings, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I might do, you know what? I might do it covertly. I
Yeah.
might do it covertly. I might be like, well, she did pay me rent for 2 years.
I'll help you with the down
I'll buy
payment,
her,
but
I'll
yeah.
buy her the fridge and the stove, and since the
Yeah.
appliances don't come with the place or something, I'll buy the appliances. It'll
I had
be
to
my
borrow it.
gift, right? You feel more benevolent when they've made their rent payment like every month.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you don't, if you don't ask, if you don't make minimum requirements, and I mean, you probably all do that with your spouses as well. I know my husband has minimum requirements of me. I have minimum requirements of him. I mean, it's kind of like your contract, when you're in together. So I don't know. I think most marriages can be saved. I do think that a lot of people just don't want to put the work in, and
Yeah.
you know,
I like U of M. U of M fan says marriage is hard, divorce is hard. Pick which one you want. Tiki says, "Hi Sam and Rudy. Arizona is trying to get a plant built to turn ocean water salinization into fresh water. Do you see Congress approving it?"
yes,
Ooh,
I do.
I haven't heard about that one. Where is it going to be? Wonder if it'll be in Mexico. We'll get our water pipeline or something.
They do it here in the place where I live.
Yeah, I think
It's
you got to.
a water desalination plant, and it's the only place that you are guaranteed in a desert town to not go without. I had some problems with my toilets in the other place. The one day that we had problems with water, there was like my son was like, there was like a little bit of water coming through. He's like, "Mom, how am I supposed to wash the dishes?"
Yeah. Well, Tiki, I'll have to take a look. I wonder if we're gonna dip into the Sea of Cortez there and try to put our straw in there and get some water from the Mexican side of the because it's not that far. Rocky Point, Arizona, Puerto
Yeah.
Penasco is right over the border. So
Yeah.
interesting. All right. Silver Spirit says, "Hi, Sam and Rudy. Are our senses, sight, smell, etc., how we experience reality? Or is reality an agreed upon experience that is passed on to the next generation? Praying for a good 2023. Thanks."
So your senses, your sight, and your smell, it is how you experience reality. It's not an agreed upon existence or anything like that. It's just, I mean, it's like what you see is what you get, is really the way that it is. And this is how the 3D works. Just like if you were to go to the desert or if you were to go in the ocean, this is how it works. There's no real complicated story about it, right? Just make sure if you're in the ocean, bring your water wings.
Okay.
If you're in the desert, bring some extra water.
All right. Oh, Bradley J. This is an interesting question. Hello, Samantha and Rudy. How is a soul created? According to the Bible in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, God did not make a body and put a soul into it like a letter into an envelope of dust. Rather, he formed a man's body from the dust. Then by breathing divine breath into it, he made the body of dust live.
Yeah, so that was the story of the creation of man,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say that is pretty much just, I mean, like an allegory, I guess. It's an allegory because you guys know what I think, how people were created, the missing link, the Anunnakis, and DNA. So,
But the actual soul, is this source kind of breaking off a piece of itself or
yeah,
splitting itself out is essentially how it works?
yeah, how it started. That was how it started, the very first one. But then after that,
Almost like an amoeba. That's the closest thing I can think of. Kind of splitting and
well, no, but remember they took DNA and they combined it with theirs and with a Neanderthal.
oh, I was thinking the soul that inhabits the physical body. So if we got humans were created, but then the soul or spirit that comes down to inhabit. That's what I think that's what Bradley might be thinking of.
Yeah, well, it's when they're in the womb. That's when. So some people don't make it to birth, but it still counts as life.
So
It's just they weren't here very long.
Source could have an infinite number of souls that it could produce to put on, or right, it would never run out of souls.
No.
Okay, interesting. Okay, like U of M fan, there's a soul machine in heaven that cranks them out.
Well, no, it's just that source can split into an infinite
Okay.
different number,
All
right?
right.
It's, we have to remember, what does he say? What does it say in the Bible? I'm not such as a man that I can lie. I'm not like you. My mind is not, I don't think like you. Like, this is basically Source saying, I'm not like you. Like, I don't think like you. I'm not such as a man that I can lie. And I was like, that hit home. I was like, you can't lie. That's right. You are not human. And we try to sort of put you in this humanoid box, like, this is the way it must be. We got to stick God in there, and this is how it works. And it's like, well, yeah, there's some stuff you can't really comprehend. I see some stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pass on that one. A translation, nope, can't even start. Nope, can't even try that one. I
It's
have
souls are
no.
like, I think souls are like tether. You can make as many as you need, right?
Oh.
I had to throw a crypto joke in there. Living Blissful says, "Hey Sam, my husband and I went to a state park with a waterfall where the waterfall fell into a sinkhole. It was amazing. The energy felt special to us. Do you get any information about this site?"
Well, I would just have to say that there's a reason why I have more peace near water. It seems like dark entities are not able to hang out there as much, the water.
Okay.
So, yeah, waterfalls. Boy, that's like definitely flowing water. I can see how you would like immediately get like that feeling of peace. And I think it does. I think that waterfalls, because of the flow of the water, that it does affect our vibrations in a positive way. That's what I
Okay.
would have to say about that.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Clock Art says, "Hi, Sam and Rudy. Is marriage still a good idea? Would love to hear your thoughts."
For some people, it is. I mean, some people should never get married. Like, I told both my parents after their second marriages broke up, I was like, no more marriages for you. Just shacking up, okay? Just shacking up. I'm not going to any more weddings. I'm not sending any presents. Like, you get two shot kicked to that's it, right? Unless they like died or something, that's different, right?
Like,
But you obviously, no, don't do it.
it's
No
like getting a
reason.
tattoo. Know what you're getting yourself into. It's forever, right? It's
Yeah, yeah, or be like me, wait until you're like closer to 60 maybe to get a sleeve or something, so that by the time you pass away, like, your sleeve is not like hanging down, it's not hanging down there for tattoos. But anyhow, yeah, I would say that if people want to have children, that's the best route to take if you want to have children, because trying to raise one all by yourself, it's my husband's been here for a couple of weeks now, and he goes back on in the middle of January, but it is much easier
yeah.
having a dual parent to like yell at the 12-year-old, what, you didn't do the dishes yet?
Give me the
On
heavy
the
hand.
task. Or he catches him, he's like, he got into the M&Ms again. I'm like, okay, go get the computer power cord. Yes, we're gonna do it. We're taking the computer power cord. You got to stop eating these M&Ms without, because
Oh,
we
yeah.
go and get treats, and he just like helps himself. He's like, what are you gonna do to me? It's almost like my old pit bull, right? And you're like, no, don't do that. And he ignores me and walks by, like, kind of like, and Richard's like, yeah, he's kind of like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Beat me?
Yeah.
They got you figured out at that point,
He's
right?
towering over you in
Yeah.
another years.
But no, the Tank, the pit bull, the dog, where he's been with us like 9 years. He gets, when he's older, he's like, yeah, what are you gonna do to me? Right? Nothing, right? The 12-year-old's very much the same, but we figured out his weak points. But in regards to having a family and all of that, not everybody is in a state of mind for having a family. They're more like the loner types, or again, I don't think that this is always necessarily the pathway for everybody, and if people choose not to get involved in that pathway, I would like to see people sort of have a better attitude about it themselves, just saying, yeah, no, that wasn't for me, or I didn't meet the right person to
Yeah.
have a family with, and rather than torture myself with the wrong person until I die, I just decided to save all my money instead of having kids, and I travel around the world. We're good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sam, and our last question for tonight comes from Cowboy Coder. Hi, Sam and Rudy. With the advent of artificial intelligence entering our reality with Chat GPT being released, will this be a net positive for humanity? And are there new opportunities for us to gain in the AI world in 2023? Thanks for all you both do. Sam, are you familiar with ChatGPT? I heard about that, but I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know about that, but I do know about the AI. I know that we need it for the future, for our factories and for our, we're not going to have as many people in the workforce, so we need to have more AI doing the mundane duties that, need.
ChatGPT is a chatbot launched by OpenAI in November. It's built on top of OpenAI's GPT 3.5 family of large language module. Interesting. We've trained a model which interacts with a conversational way. Oh, interesting. So it's going to be more dialogue, follow-up questions, a smarter AI, essentially, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some opportunities. I can't speak to that like right now, but again, let's see what comes out. And usually when I'm seeing stuff and I'm wandering around in it, when I'm reading it, when I'm listening to a video, and I get impressions about things and the things that are important that make a decision whether or not you want to get involved with something or support it or let people know that you support it.
Yeah. I think all these things that incrementally make our lives better. I know I love my old Toyota Tundra pickup truck, but I also love driving my Tesla because it's so easy and everything just works like it should work. So yeah, I look forward to kind of technology improving our lives. And like you said before, science will save us. Technology, this is all going to make our lives better as we move forward.
Yeah. So it was a great meeting today, Rudy. Thanks so much. I think we are hanging out again in 2 weeks from now on Wednesday. So I'll see you then. And I will be on time. I'll be more on my schedule. I did say 2023 today, so thumbs up there. I don't think there's anything down for the weekly crypto review this week. So Moo is going to be taking the week off. And we've got we tape Psychic Nerds on Friday, I think. But again, I don't know.
Okay.
It's Moo's traveling. But we definitely for sure will have a premium meetup on Saturday. I've got that booked. So looking forward to seeing my premium tier members and getting on top of what's going up in the market, because maybe this will be the up weekend, right? Because, Christmas season, we're still in that timeline for the world, right? For the Christmas season. So,
and I think you
know
said
I can't drop
January 6th was your next big date, or one of them?
The 5th, actually. I'd said January 5th. So, and I was wondering if they would make the deal for the piece on the 5th, announce it on the 6th, and it would be effective for the 7th. I was like, oh, that would be, maybe I'm living in La La Land here. That would be so perfect. But even just now see them talking so much about peace, whereas before it was, oh, Ukraine's going to lose the war. And then now it's not looking like Ukraine's losing the war. And it just really looks like the question of what's Russia going to get. And they said that they want, I think they want Crimea and the Donbass, but just, again, I'm just going back to my blab that just came out of the blue when I was in the blab, right? The same video where I said that Doge could go even to $8. I'll be out of it by then.
Let's hope. All right. Thanks, Sam. We'll see you on the next live stream.
All right. Thanks so much. And again, everybody, I appreciate your patience tonight. And thanks again for hanging out.